Hello, family. My name is James Trice, and I'm the creator of a podcast called YANA, or You Are Not Alone. You Are Not Alone is a podcast for Black men. It is more than just a podcast. It's a lifeline and a brotherhood. We're here to create a supportive, judgment-free space where Black men can have real, open conversations about what truly matters to us, from family and relationships to community, sports, culture, politics, faith, sex, race, education, and the challenges of everyday life. We dive deep into it all. Whether you're looking for advice, motivation, prayer, or just a comfort of knowing you're not walking this journey alone. YANA is here for you. This is your space to connect, grow, and be heard, because none of us are meant to do life alone. Look for new episodes weekly wherever you get your podcasts. And look for me on Instagram at jbtrice123. Welcome to YANA. Grace and peace, everyone. This is James Trice. Welcome to a new edition of YANA. You are not alone. Again, a space for Black men to come together and talk about the issues that matter most to us. A safe space, a space that we can talk uncensored and in judgment-free environment. Because none of us are meant to do life alone. This is a space that really talks about and allows us to understand that we don't walk this journey of life alone. Again, because none of us are meant to do life alone. So don't try it. And today's guest, I have none other than Dr. Javan Richardson. This is a young man I just met recently, probably last month. Yes, last month. We just met at a conference in North Carolina. And I just felt the need to just reach out to the brother and say something to him when I saw him in the crowd. Never met the brother before, but God put it on my heart to invite him to come on to YANA and just talk about himself and the work that he does, and to inspire, to give you, you who are listening or watching, some words of encouragement, and you could be inspired by this young man who's doing some wonderful, wonderful work. So anyway, without further ado, welcome to the show, Dr. Richardson, and please introduce yourself, say what you want the audience to know about you.
Well, hello to Apple, Spotify, YouTube, social media land. Everybody in the country, we say Lottie, Dottie, and everybody because everybody is somebody, whether you're young or seasoned, black or white, short or tall, whomever. Hello to you out there in social media land. I am Dr. Javan E. Richardson, and my excited to be here on today. I began thinking about the name of the podcast is You Are Not Alone. And one of my favorite songs are by Michael Jackson, You Are Not Alone. I
Mm.
tell people sometimes I didn't get my healing and deliverance on a gospel song. I had to turn on You Are Not Alone when I was in my car crying. And when it said, You are not alone, I'm here with you. And then the other song that says, I'm starting with The Man in the Mirror. Wow, I got my deliverance on those songs. Nevertheless, I'm excited to be here in the safe space, as you call it, in this virtual audience with you today. Thanks for the invitation, Mr. James. And they tell me good things start with the J. I see James and Javen is on this podcast today. It's liable to be a combustion in the spirit. What you say about it?
Thank you so much, brother. That was a great introduction. So, as talk a little bit about the work you do. As I read your bio, you in 2019 you wrote a book. This is your first book. Your wealth is in your hands. You wrote your course book. Write the story, make it plain. It's really providing aspiring authors with essential steps if they want to compose their book.
Mhm.
Then your latest book, The Blessings of Heartbreak. That's some wonderful, wonderful work, man. And talk about this. I have several questions for you, but I'm gonna start with this one. The Blessings of Heartbreak. That's an interesting uh,
Wow.
subject or topic. Talk about that. What do you mean by the blessings of heartbreak? Because many of us, when we talk about heartbreak, there's no blessing behind it. I'm in pain. So
Right.
how is heartbreak a blessing? How can it be a blessing?
Wow, you have to change the lenses of the heartbreak. I went through one of the darkest seasons of my life that was entitled The Heartbreak. But once I got to the root of it, I realized that heartbreak didn't come to kill me or destroy me, it came to transform me. And it was in my heartbreak that I realized that my breaking point led to a turning point. So, generally, when we consider the topic of heartbreak, we think about something engrossed in pain. We concentrate on the person or the events that caused the heartbreak. Although my heartbreak was caused by a person, I didn't focus on the person that caused the heartbreak. I focus on how do I overcome the heartbreak. And when we typically become so engrossed in the pain that we are currently experiencing, we seldomly consider the real job of the hard work. The hard work and the heartbreak can be painful. But I'm reminded of the Apostle Paul in Romans 8, verses 28, where he boldly proclaims that, and we know that all things work together for the good to them that love God and have been called according to his purpose. So Romans 8:28 has always been my favorite scripture. I have always patterned my life behind Romans 8:28 and Jeremiah 29:11. And Romans 8:28 lets me know even the hard things will work out for my good because it's such a statement of God's sovereign promise that even the toughest of heartbreaks are ultimately working out for your good according to his plan. Now, see, my heartbreak caught me by surprise, but check this out. It didn't catch God by surprise because God knows what's happening yesterday, today, and tomorrow. So ultimately, it worked out for my good, and my heartbreak helped me explore God's plan for me, even in the midst of what was painful and a dreadful moment in my life.
So how does that work practically, right? You said, you talked about, with Paul, all things work out for good for those who love God and called according to his purpose. I agree with you 100%. But practically, how does that look to get over that? Because immediately heartbreak, like you
Mhm.
said, the pain is devastating, right? Because
Right,
heartbreak is a surprise. You just never know. You assume
right.
things are all good, and then all of a sudden you see something or something happens. You're like, oh my God. Or, something happens and you're just surprised by it. How does one work through the heartbreak? What are the essential steps? What should a person do to really get through the heartbreak time?
Well, that's a great question. And I think each case is different for each individual.
Hmm.
For me, in my heartbreak, I needed to see a therapist to add along with the prayers.
Okay.
So I needed to balance out my humanity and my spirituality because my
Mm.
humanity says in order to heal, I have to feel. So first I had to acknowledge that I'm hurt. Because check this out, a lot of times now, see, I work in the mental health field. And I will tell you this, every therapist even needs a therapist. So I had to acknowledge the first part of healing is to acknowledge that there's a symptom that something isn't right. So many times, which leads to the topic of your podcast, you are not alone. We as men are afraid to be vulnerable. But I had to find a safe space to be vulnerable. And for honestly, that looked like not telling the prayer warriors everything. I needed to sit down and have somebody to go talk to and just be honest, be naked, if you will. So I had to get counseling that was therapeutic for me. And that also looked like taking a trip. When everything happened, so my heartbreak was caused behind a relationship that I was in. and I hit a very suicidal spot. I ended up having to go to my dad's in Virginia for a couple of days. I had never when I tell you I hit the lowest of the lows, I hit the lowest of the lows. So I had to realize I couldn't make it on my own strength. My grandmother, my Mimi was in my house. My sister came running here. My dad was here. So I had to acknowledge again that I was in a tough spot. I hit a roadblock. And so I began seeing a therapist, and that began helping me because therapy is a how-to guide, but you have to do the work with it. So the therapy and then learning therapeutic things to do for myself, such as self-care, do things that make me happy. If that looks like going to get me some ice cream or a Krispy Kreme donut, hey, I did what I needed to do, even taking a trip. I went to Punta Cana, got my notebook, I journaled. I was just glad to get away. And then on the spiritual side, I was able to feed myself by, studying the word, praying. It even looked like for me, there was a season that I had to play worship music to go to bed at night. And then there were some days, like I said in the beginning, where I had to turn on Charlie Wilson. I'm blessed. Yes, I'm blessed. Or I'm living my best life, to pump my spirits up because Mr. James, check this out. Do you know statistically, research shows that people that smile the most actually hurt the worst? In
Mm,
society, we as a people have learned how to mask. Even in church, we've learned how to mask and hide our humanity to present ourselves as if we are okay. Well, good things I had some mothers and some intercessors that could pick me up in the spirit during this season of my life, and they would pray me through. So I had everything. It goes back to the scripture. Everything was working together for my good because the heartbreak helped me to discover the root of my wounds. Because that wasn't my first heartbreak. That was my first heartbreak from a relationship. But I went through other heartbreaks in my life. But that one heartbreak brought out so many things that I needed to heal and become whole in. And I will even say healing is a journey. It's not a destination. You heal in layers and you keep healing and you keep healing. So it goes back to the scripture all things work together. The therapy and the spiritual aspect, it all worked together for my good. Here I am today.
yes, yes, yes. So you talk about multiple heartbreaks. So you talk about this is not the only heartbreak, the relationship
Right.
heartbreak, but there are other heartbreaks. So do you talk about this in your book, the other heartbreaks? And
Yes.
what are the other heartbreaks other than the
Mhm.
relational heartbreaks that we experience in life? Can you talk a little
Mhm.
bit about those?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I want to say the heartbreak didn't just break my heart. It exposed parts of me that I hadn't healed in. So the first heartbreak that I had was growing up without my father in my life.
Mm,
That was very hard for me. That was hard for me because in society, for black men, overcoming isn't optional, it's generational. And for me, growing up without my father in my life, there was a void, if you will, of even validation, if you will, because we as children, we want validation from our parents. And I went through seasons of my life where I was a straight A student in school, and I would see other students have their father come in on like the awards day or the different ceremonies. And then I would look around and mine wasn't. And I would ask God, what did I do to cause this? So I didn't come from a so good background, if you will. Uh, I came here in this world, very different. My father was a married man. And so the way I came in here, it was unorthodox. Um, so I often wondered in life growing up, Was he not in my life because I looked like him, just like him, or I was a reminder of a bad decision? So growing up without my father in my life, that really scorned me. And I began asking God, why are you punishing me in this way? I thought it was punishment. I didn't see it working for my good in that moment. And I struggled with the thought of, it turned into an identity crisis. Like, my father isn't there for me, so what is wrong with me? What did I do to cause this? You know?
Mm,
So that was the first heartbreak.
okay. Wow. Um, I mean, I could go more in this, but I want to move to some other subject. But how can people get a copy of your book? What do they need to do? Because I think it would be some. It caught my attention just by the title. Um,
They can go to my website, www.javanemuel.com. That's www.javanemmanuel.com.
all right, Emmanuel, God with us.
See,
Uh,
that's another
yes,
thing. He knows our
yes,
story from the beginning,
he
before I
does,
was
right?
even formed in my mother's womb. It doesn't matter about the doctor piece. It really doesn't even matter about the Javan or the Richardson. That Emmanuel, he put it in the middle.
He did.
I'm with you in all of it.
Right, right. How has I'm gonna switch subject here and because I want people to get your book so they can get the fullness of it instead of going in more detail because I was gonna ask you more questions about what are the other forms of heartbreak, but I think you laid it out eloquently because I think a lot of men have that
Mhm.
heartbreak of the father not being there,
Mhm.
right? And even if he's there, he's not engaging, right?
Right.
And that is a heartbreak. And I never thought about it as being a form of heartbreak, right? But it is a form of heartbreak because your heart is broken that, you know, that something is not what it's supposed to be or that you expect it to be. At least that's what I think. That's my definition of heartbreak. Tell me if that's correct or if there is there another definition of heartbreak that you want to
Again, I
present.
think it's a case by case. What might be a
Okay.
heartbreak for me may not be a heartbreak for you.
But what is heartbreak essentially? Instead of what the subject of the
Uh-huh.
heartbreak, what is heartbreak essentially?
Something that breaks your heart.
Okay. Can you define it in more uh, detail?
I would say heartbreak is something that turns into I think of broken pieces.
Hmm.
I think of something that shatters you. Mhm.
Okay.
So for me, heartbreak is something that it shatters your heart. It's overwhelming. Distress, grief, suffering,
Hmm. Mm,
unhappiness, misery,
mm,
sorrow,
mm,
you know?
hmm. All right. All right. Man, that's some good work. Let me ask this. I'm gonna shift gears. I know I was said I was gonna shift gears, but this heartbreak thing keeps touching me, man, because I think it's important for people to know this. But uh, you have had a spiritual father who passed recently, right? Dr. Kelly, am I correct? Apostle Kelly,
Yes.
right? And you talk about him being your spiritual father. Um, how has your life been impacted by his influence on your life? So in other words, what impact did your spiritual father have on your life, and how has that informed the work that you do?
Wow, that's a loaded question. And I do honor him, even in his transition. Such a tremendous man.
Yes.
Wow. Dr. Apostle Kelly was a man's man. While he was not my pastor, we often had conversations. And what started our relationship was when he said to me, I don't have to be your pastor to cover you.
Mm,
And he covered me. Him and his wife took me in as a son. And he allowed me to be me. He embraced who I was. And he allowed me to work alongside him in so many areas in the ministry and in the marketplace. So he just didn't allow me to express, my gifts. He helped cultivate me in those. And he gave me an opportunity, as I said, in the ministry and marketplace. Now, while he had natural sons, oh my God, it was nothing. We talked or text every day. And while he was an apostle, oh my God, he could give you a laugh like it was nobody's business. We would sit on the phone for an hour to 2 hours cracking up. But when his son Darius called, that meant he got to go.
Mm,
And he was present. That's how I define him, present. He was not just present with the call, he was present with his presence. And oftentimes we miss how someone presence can be the present.
mm,
He supported me in every arena of my life. In fact, with the blessings of heartbreak, the heartbreak that's on my cover, he said, "Good God, that was your heart right there." Once you overcome some
right.
stuff, you can laugh about it. But he was like,
Yeah.
"Whoo, that was your heart up there." And I just look at how he would even bring me into his ministry to teach mental health classes. I worked with him on his 501(c)(3). I even went to minister at his church, but it was an equal exchange. He was a father to me as I was a son to him. He came and drove 3 hours. Him, his son, his church, they drove 3 hours to be at my doctoral graduation celebration. And he even came to MC it. So he was that guy. While my natural father wasn't there for me, I had a good role model in Apostle Kelly. God made up the difference. It wasn't a void that was filled. God just
Mm.
sent someone else that could represent my father in the earth realm, if that makes sense. Sometimes God
Oh,
knows how to
yes.
connect who we are
Mm.
in the earth realm with what we're supposed to represent in the spirit.
Wow, man, you said something incredible. Several things in there, but two things I want to point out. First of all, when you said that he took you in as a son, and
Hmm.
you talked about you when we first in the beginning of our conversation, you talked about the book Heartbreak Could Be a Blessing, or Heartbreak is a Blessing, and you talked about your heartbreak was you lost. I mean, your the lack of relationship you had with your father, that he wasn't there, and that
Hmm.
this apostle Dr. Kelly stepped in, and he wasn't a replacement, right?
Hmm.
He didn't fill the void, right? Or he
Right.
wasn't, right? He was a what were your words again? You said that he didn't replace your father. He
Mm-mm.
just helped fill the void that was there. Talk about that.
Well, I said he didn't replace, so he didn't fill the void.
Yes,
He didn't fill the void because I don't believe that void can be replaced.
right,
But God sent him as a representative to
right.
cover me in the realm of the spirit. Now, although my father wasn't there and I had my spiritual father, Apostle Kelly, I also had my grandfathers in my life too. My poppy and my grandfather. So I wasn't just out here without any male figures.
Hmm.
I had a great, and I still do have a great grandfather and a poppy. Both of them are very awesome, mighty men. I think about my papa used to wake me up early in the morning, go outside and cut grass and woo, all those type of manly things, if you will. So I had representatives. It's like God had people in place. I had a village. I had my granddaddy and my poppy on the natural aspect, but then I had Apostle Kelly in the spirit. So it never crashed. It was all alignment.
Was that part of your healing process, healing your broken heart? Was that part of that?
Absolutely.
Okay. How important was that to you to have that?
It was very important because it goes back to the word validation. I had no man in my life, to say, "Come on, son, let me teach you this aspect. Let me show you from a male perspective." Because for me, I grew up around a lot of women, the mothers of the church. I'm the oldest of six children. And, my mom was trying to do what she could, for the six children that she had. I needed those men in my life. And here's why. I needed them to teach me how to have good credit. I needed them to teach me how to handle business, how to go get a car, teaching me how to save. So it was necessary. It was very vital. And then I needed Apostle Kelly to teach me and say, okay, this is how you prepare. This is what we're going to do. Apostle Kelly was the one that taught me, if you will, the kingdom policies and procedures and how to
Mm,
navigate spaces and don't leave places prematurely, if you will, and don't move out of impulse. Consult God in all things. He was
yeah.
that guy. And then I had the poppy and the granddaddy, this is how you wear a tie.
Right.
This is the type of suit you wear to this type of event. So it all worked out.
Wow. Yeah, that is wonderful how God does that
Hmm.
and steps in that way. And it shows really how really critically important it is for us to have a relationship.
Absolutely.
I think just one guy said that you can't be your best self by yourself,
That's right.
right? Um, and so let me ask this question. You said he was Dr. Apostle Kelly was a man's man. What does that mean?
A lot of men looked up to him. A lot of men. He stood in the gap um, for not just broken men, but healthy men too, if you will.
Hmm.
So everyone knew they could depend on Apostle Kelly. He had many sons. He helped transform a lot of us from broken into new. Even in his absence now, he's still a man's man. While his presence is not here, his voice is still speaking.
Hmm.
So, he was that guy. I often recall sometimes going to the church. He would get out there and play football with his church shoes on after he finished preaching, then change his clothes, take his necktie off, and go out there playing with the young boys and young teenagers out there. And it was nothing for him to go make a pie for his daddy or anything like that, or say, hey, man, we're going to get together. So he was that type of guy. He
Wow,
wanted us as men to be holistically healthy. He
that's
didn't want us to
incredible.
get stuck in our brokenness.
Hmm. Wow. Um, man, there's a lot to say, and we don't have a lot more time. We don't have a lot of time left, and I have to have you come back. I have a couple more questions for you.
Okay.
What are you most passionate about? And all that you have done, you wrote two books, you wrote a course book on
Hmm.
how to really um, help people through their book writing process,
Hmm.
multiple degrees, um, BA in criminal justice. How did that lead you to this? We don't have to talk about this today. You have a doctorate
Okay.
in education, right? You're the founder of the Black Doctoral Scholars Alliance. I mean, there's so much to talk about with you. Out of all of those things, what are you most passionate about?
None of that. What I'm most passionate about is my family.
Hmm.
I'm a family guy. I thank God for my credentials. I thank God for the books. I even praise God for the favor. But what I'm most passionate about is my family. Oh, I'm a family guy. I love my sister Emery, my brother that went on to heaven, CJ, my sister Jewel, Jordan, my brother Sean, my sister Journey, and my youngest brother that went home to be with the Lord, Jakari, and even my nieces and nephew, Eli, Elani, Elea, and Harley. That's what I'm most passionate about. I love my family. I will stop what I'm doing. I will get off this interview right now.
That's beautiful.
I love family. I'm a family guy. And
Hmm.
what I'm most passionate about is seeing them become the best versions of themselves. And while I have no children, I look at my siblings and my nieces and nephew as my legacy. And I want my legacy to outlive me. I want them to become a better version of me, you know? I recognize all of them are unique and all of them have different callings, and I want them to be so much better and greater than myself. So my time is spent, I want to pour into them so they don't make the same mistakes that I made in my 26 years of living. And I just want them to go greater, whether they decide to go to school or launch a business. I just want them to soar.
You say you don't have children. Do you hope to have children someday?
I don't see that in my forecast.
Okay. Okay. Um, so last question. What is your hope for black men?
Wow, that's loaded. My hope for black men. My hope for black men is first to know that it's okay to be vulnerable. It's okay not to be okay. My second hope is it's okay to go talk to someone, talk through it, talk through it. My third hope is to let them know that recovery is always available, restoration is always available. Greater is our portion. We don't have to live in defeat. We can become the best us. We don't have to clock in for no one. We can start our 7 6 7 figure business ourselves. Black man, we can get it done. And you know what? What I want to leave them with this. Men, you are needed. You are needed. You know, even I began thinking, Mr. James, it takes a seed from the man to produce. So you're needed holistically. You are needed.
Right. Thank you so much, Dr. Richardson. So I
My
call you Dr.
pleasure.
Richardson, or what would you like me to call you? Dr.
Just
Richardson, is that cool?
Jay is fine.
Just Jay? And
Jay
how do you pronounce your name correctly? I was saying Javan, but it's Javan, right?
is Javen.
Javan. All right. You have a beautiful name, man. Thank you so much for joining us, brother. I really, really appreciate you. Would you please come back?
Of
Would you
course,
do
it's
this
my good
again?
pleasure. Thanks for the invitation.
Man, I thank you for the privilege of your time, man, and being with us today. And audience, thank you so much for joining this episode of Yana. You are not alone. And as Javen so eloquently said that, we need each other really. We need that support network around us. We're never meant to do life alone, ladies and gentlemen, because I know ladies are listening too. Brothers, we're never meant to do life alone, right? We're interdependent on each other. All right. And so till next time, um, see you. Blessings to you. Grace and
Blessings
peace.
to you. Take care.
YANA is here for you. This is your space to connect, grow, and be heard because none of us are meant to do life alone.